Hi, everybody. I've got a great interview for you today. But before we get to that, please do me a favor and subscribe. It would really help us out and help us to keep bringing wonderful, terrific, talented guests to you each and every week. Now, let's get to that interview. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. I'm excited today. I've got Jonathan Jourdan of To Whom It May with me. So welcome, John.
What's going on, man? Stoked to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk with you. I've been listening to the music, and it's pretty awesome.
Oh, dude, thank you so much, man. It's great to get the new stuff heard finally.
I played some of your last album, The Great Filter, with the grandkids, which is it's different music than they're used to. They're pretty young and stuff, and they did pretty well with it. They were kind of hopping around a little bit and thrashing around a little bit. I was like, well, that's a pretty good reaction. So
yeah, man, that's awesome, dude. Start them young, man.
Yeah, start them out right.
Yeah, man, that's the goal, man. If the kid can enjoy it, then it's all good from there,
Yeah, for sure. So let's start here, John. Talk a little bit about yourself and what got you into music. What made you want to become a musician?
Man, it was really just, I was that kid in high school that just needed something to do to put his brain into, instead of doing schoolwork at the time. I was like, guitar is fun, let's do guitar. And so just kind of locked away and worked on guitar, and then, had the high school band thing, and then it would kind of grow from there and then fall apart, and then we'd build and fall apart.
Yeah.
And, kind of held on to that and just developed, different musical acts along the way. The drummer in let me fix my camera here. The drummer in To Whom It May, he and I have been working together since we were teenagers. So it's been just kind of a slow growing process, and just kind of trying to do something better each time you do something.
Yeah. I mean, that's the dream, right? Is to hook up with your buddies and then just have a band that just goes on into adulthood. I mean,
yeah, man, that's definitely what, when we started, it was the dream of like, all right, all of us here in this room are gonna, we're going to the top, and then somebody gets married or somebody, does this or that, and then it's like it slowly redefines what the band is. But we've been lucky because we've kind of been together for a long time, and it's been a real cool process. A lot of learning about, team building and stuff like that the hard way.
Well, that's right. That's right, because you have to figure out how to mesh the personalities and make sure that everybody has a voice. And because you're all creative people, and that's why a lot of bands end up not making it, is because they don't have, everybody doesn't have an equal voice.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's definitely it gets tense, man. But the end justifies the means most of the time.
That's right. What did you do? Were you playing with the school at any time? Were you in band at the school or show choir or anything like that?
I mean, like when we were maybe like I did choir, I think, when I was like in middle school, but it wasn't of like anything other than just something to do. Like when we were in our teens, we pretty much retreated back to the garage, and we didn't do any after school programming or anything like that. We just hung out in our garage, and everything from smoke together for the first time or something while just trying to figure out, Led Zeppelin riffs or whatever, just the typical kid stuff. And it turned into a, stuck with it. I guess it's either hard-headed or passionate. You can, whatever you want to call it.
Or a little both.
Yeah.
So who were your influences growing up music-wise?
Man, it's weird. For me, Metallica was a big one as a kid. That just made me gravitate to the guitar. I tried to learn all their songs and stuff like that, kind of trudge my way through it. But later on, as a musician and as a writer, everything from singer-songwriter stuff like Tom Waits, weird Tom Waitsy kind of stuff, or like Townes Van Zandt, to bands like Meshuggah, Carnival, just anything that's got groove, anything that would make someone's grandkid dance, basically, you know, as simple as that is, you know, it's like if a kid can dance to it, you know, it's like, that's the goal, you know, it's got groove.
That's the test that I always have, because if they just wander off, if they're not interested, I don't know, you might be in for some trouble. But if they're dancing around a little bit to it, then I think you got something.
Yeah, man, totally. Like if they hum the melody, that's a win, man.
That's it. How long have you and your bandmates in To Whom It May been together?
So we had a previous band before To Whom It May for like 9 years. So that was the high school band, you know. Yeah. It was called Mellovine. And then when we ended that, we started To Whom It May, and it was 2014, I think, was our first show. So now it's I guess moving on to its 8th year, you know, and we took a long time working on the first record. You know, it was just like pretty much self-produced for the most part, self-written, you know, and we worked with a friend of ours who kind of helped trim the fat a little bit and work on the, you know, the end result with us. And so that was, by the time Great Filter came out, we had already been a band for like 4 years, you know, just kind of figuring out the sound, because it was a huge transition going from one band to another, trying to make a unique sound and something that wasn't just a repetitious step what we already did, you know.
That's right.
So yeah, about 8 years, man.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So when you were doing that first album, The Great Filter, you know, did you have like way more songs than what you ended up putting on the album?
Yeah, there's definitely more. We probably wrote, you know, I would say as far as finished songs, maybe 10 or so more outside of that. Yeah. Usually I'll have a bank of just a ton of ideas that if it's cool, it'll make it to the next phase where it'll get like some lyrics on it maybe, and then we'll see what happens, you know. But I've got piles of tunes where I just kind of demo them out and live with them for a couple years, and I'll pull them back out if they inspire anything, or, you know, just see kind of what, if it feels like it's fermented into something better, you know, or what sparks inspiration.
Yeah, I think that's kind of neat, because it's, you know, you write these songs and some of them may not see the light of day, so to speak, for several years, maybe not at all, but then you go back to them and all of a sudden you're like, hey, I got something here. And you change it around a little bit. Next thing you know, it's on the album. Yeah.
It's crazy. Sometimes you won't even, usually the way it works with the record is the song that you think is going to be the big song is a B-side, and then the song that came together in 30 minutes is now the single, and it's just like, so it's so hard to predict. And that's what's cool about this record coming out. You know, I lived with these songs through the whole, really the pandemic, you know, 2020, right at the height of it, you know, that was kind of, when that hit, it was like, all right, time to do something. Let's make something out of this strange time period. And that was going back to the vault and listening to the old songs that didn't make the last record, and then saying, what's the sound now, and just whittling it away. And, you know, on this record, as opposed to the last record, this one's totally self-produced, that was fun. You know, it was kind of it was like a science experiment, so to speak, but I think the results, again, justified the means, you know.
Were you, were the three of you able to get together, you know, in person during the, you know, that time when we were kind of isolated, or did you have to work, you know, virtually?
It was a lot of virtual stuff, you know. A lot of it was me kind of just isolated, holed up, working in my music shed. And, you know, we've worked together so long, and especially Dexas and I, the drummer, that I write drums influenced by the way he plays drums, you know. So It's like, it works out real nice. And, you know, obviously at the end of the phase of writing and stuff, we'll get together and we'll go through everything and make sure there's like, if there's any inspiration or if there's any room for growth, it's like, that's what we're after, you know. And then we go to the recording process, and then things will continue to change in that part of the process. And it's, I mean, it never stops, you know. Eventually you just got to go, okay, we're done working on this. Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming that's part of the reason it takes so long, because you just keep wanting to make it better.
Yeah, man. It's kind of an endless, you know, chasing of a tail, you know, because it's like, eventually you got to put the record out because it's a snapshot of whatever your reality is at that point. You know, you got to put it out, otherwise it'll be on a chopping block for years and years and years, and then it's just, what is it anymore? It's just
That's
kind
right.
of a punching bag, you know.
So the new album is Olympian Gossip, and it comes out the 18th or the 19th?
It's actually going to be out on streaming services on the 18th.
18th. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. That's exciting. So let's see. Today's the 15th, so 3 days.
Yeah, man. 3 days.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, that's really really exciting. Did this one, you know, was it an easier process this time compared to the last time?
Well, no, yes and no. The last one was basically just such a new thing. It was the first time I was ever singing on a record, so that was a unique thing, kind of like literally trying to find my voice, you know.
Yeah.
So that was a whole growth that was weird and kind of a growing pain of sorts that I didn't have to go through on this record. But on this record, we shifted into like, I just self-produced the record, you know. So that was a whole other kind of growth of like trying to figure out how the best way to do that, how to kind of be a team leader in that sense, but also like an artist at the same sense, and being able to kind of juggle a bunch of hats. So yeah, it was cool. You know, it was easy and it was harder in some ways, but I think because of the way we went about it, the result, it doesn't feel like we repeated ourselves on this record. You know, I think it still sounds like us, but it's definitely a different record than to the last record, The Great Filter.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question was, you know, how has your sound, you know, grown or changed from your original record, and does it kind of harken back still, even if it's a little bit different?
Yeah, I think there's definitely like callbacks to it. You know, some of the themes and stuff like that. You know, I always try to infuse a little bit of that kind of physicist and scientist. I love the dialogue of like for our last record, we had a bunch of physicists from the Manhattan Project, a bunch of real like heady stuff, you know. And on this record, it opens up with Buzz Aldrin kind of just talking about, you know, you'll hear it whenever you hear it. But so that kind of stuff is there, you know, our love of that kind of space and physics and all that stuff. But in the ways that it's different, it's, you know, lyrical content, I feel personally has grown a little bit. The riffs are a little different. You know, the songs are kind of reaching into different sounds a little bit more than we were before.
I listened to, let's see, Upbeat Teeth, right?
Yeah.
That's the one, the single you released last month.
Yeah.
Really, really good. I I really enjoyed the space references at the beginning of the song. And then the video, I thought it was such a neat idea because the video, it's all worded out. So you know, you could actually sing along with it if you wanted to, because all the words are there. And I thought it was a neat way you did it, though. It wasn't just the scroll across the bottom of the screen. It actually, you know, it felt artistic the way you did it.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, that was, we worked with a team on that, and it's, you know, it's fun. It's like right now it's the digital age, so you have to have some sort of visual like to go along with things, you know. And it's challenging at the same time because it is also, the climate of the world is so weird right now, you know. Getting together is sometimes a challenge. So that's one of the challenges we've kind of taken on in this new record. It's like, how do we make content for videos when we're all like in different places at the same time? And it's been fun to kind of go over those hurdles. In fact, we've got a video that's finishing up production this week, and we're working on the next video.
Nice.
The kind of the game plans of, you know, the next one actually next week. So keeping the train rolling, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah, you have to. You gotta keep the momentum building. So you guys, you've got to tour with Drowning Pool. I think I saw with Nothing More, and probably a few others, right? But that was all pre-pandemic. I mean, do you have plans now to tour with this, you know, and kind of put this new music out?
Yeah, definitely. So right now, main focus for us right now is just really has been dialing out the release and getting the music ready. It really took a lot of energy because this is a DIY release for us, and in partnership with our management. And the goal right now is this fall, block out, a good amount of time and try to hit as many markets as we can, taking the new record kind of out, and just we're gonna have physical vinyl, CDs, all that kind of stuff, and just get it out to as many ears as we can.
Yeah, it's exciting. I was going to ask you if you were going to do some vinyl, because us older guys, we like the vinyl.
Oh, me too, man. I'm all about it. Like, if I'm going to buy a record or an album, I'm definitely going for the vinyl. I just feel like it's the way to go.
Yeah, it sounds different.
Yeah, man. Depending on your system, that's the thing. If you have a bad system, it's going to sound bad. So
that's right.
But I agree. It's just the ritual of it. That's what I love.
Yeah.
Having
to
listen
kind of
to nostalgia in a row. Yeah, for sure, man.
I don't know how you were when you were younger, but my generation, there was a lot of just laying around listening to records. You just, and that's what you would do. You might spend a whole afternoon just listening to a record.
Yeah, man. No, totally. I used to love, reading the lyrics as, you read it or you listen to it for the first time. And so that's what's cool. Like on the vinyl release that we're doing, you open up the vinyl, it's a gatefold vinyl, and you'll have all the lyrics in there and everything.
Oh, that's great.
And it'll be fun. And we've got like the vinyl itself is a special color, and it's a limited thing. So all the collector stuff will be there. It'll be good, man. Yeah, totally.
With that, you're doing this yourself. You guys are doing it. Was that part more difficult than actual writing the songs? Coming up with the openings and the artwork and just putting together the album. Was that side a little more difficult than actually writing the music, or is it about the same?
It's unique, because it's like, again, doing something for the first time is the biggest challenge. It's like, so doing the last time on the last record, we did a lot of the stuff ourselves as well, even though it wasn't on a label release. Like the artwork, for instance, for the last record, we sourced the artist and did all that. On this record, we sourced the artist for the cover, but all the remaining artwork, the inside and the CD and the vinyl itself and all the content inside, I actually did that as well. So it was just nice to kind of just grab it by the reins and just, sometimes you want to do it yourself if you want to not have to pay a bunch of people because it's a DIY thing. You don't have an endless budget, but also you can nitpick it a little bit longer. And then through that, it was definitely a challenge because having to learn just how to deliver things to a print house, all those sort of things, but it was a learning process and it was a good thing. I think at the end of the day.
What was the decision making as far as deciding to go that route instead of going, with having somebody do it for you, to do it on your own?
Well, when we did the last record, it was, we had a really great fan base, excited about the release, and what ended up happening is we linked up with the label and it was great. Everything was, all appreciated, but it's like the more people you put in a project, the more ears and minds it has to go through. And then it becomes, for the end user, for like the fan base, all that turns into them is like, or turns into for them is waiting 2 years for a release versus 6 months. And we took so long with the first album, just not only recording it, but also getting it actually out. We didn't want to do that again, and even with that being said, it's like, it's still, I think, 3.5 years since our last release. But if we were to do it through a label, it would have been another, 4.5 years. And I'd rather just take what we did in this time period in 2020, 2021, put it out, let it be what it is. And, maybe the next release will kind of entertain the idea of going that route again. But it, depending on how this goes, it's nice to be in the control creatively of everything. Yeah. Because it's like, I know that the album's going to be presented in a way that feels right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. And I mean, with this, it's kind of like, it's, you can succeed or struggle, but it's all on you, so there's a little bit of risk with it, but the rewards, I think, would be greater because, it's all your vision.
Oh yeah. Anything goes wrong, it's like, oh yeah, that's my bad. So,
do you have, go ahead.
No, there's that, but that, it's worth it, like you said.
Oh yeah, for sure. Do you have a a favorite song or two on the new album?
It's weird, you know, they all at one point or another were a favorite, and then my least favorite, and then my favorite again. You know, it's like manic, you know, it goes up and down. I think what it is for me, it's like maybe My Martyr, one of the first singles that we put out. That was a really special one, just because it felt like all the planets aligned on that tune, you know, so to speak. And then outside of that, you know, some of the stuff that's not out yet already, like there's another track called Say It that's going to be the next single. That one's going to, I'm curious to see what that does, you know, how that gets a response. And then also the last tune on the record for me was actually not even going to be a To Whom It May song. And it just felt like such a somber, kind of beautiful closing to an album. I wanted to, you know, kind of going back to the vinyl thing. It's like when you used to listen to Dark Side of the Moon, you know, even the weirdest, you know, there's that track, I can't remember the name of the track, but the track where the synth is speeding up and slowing down. It's like, as it stands alone, it's not really a great song, but in that context of the album, it's like a really nice palate cleanser, like kind of a journey. So the last tune on the record, for me, it's kind of like, it's nice like that. It's a nice part of the journey.
Yeah, that's awesome. I never really think about that, but I guess it does matter what order you put the songs on the album, you know, because it's a whole kind of like an experience that you're putting together. So I guess it does make a difference on, you know, where you start and where you end. Yeah,
I mean, that sequencing for a record is, to me, one of the things we run the risk of losing, you know, with the modern way of how we process music, singles and stuff, you know, and there is no escaping that, you know, and I understand it because I do it too. I chase music singles, but there's something to be said for, you know, listening to a full record.
Yeah. So the name is Olympian Gossip. Where did that name come from? You know, what does it mean?
So kind of like tying into the last record had a lot of, again, physicists from the Manhattan Project.
Yeah.
You know, Richard Feynman was his dialogues in one of our tunes. And I'm really into that world of kind of just,
I think it's so neat.
Yeah. And it's not even like, I'm not a scientist, you know, I just admire that type of, you know, the ability to dive into that world and be, you know, succeed like those great minds and stuff. And I think it's inspiring. That the title Olympian Gossip came from Nikola Tesla, and he wrote the only time he ever wrote a poem. He wrote one poem, and it was called Fragments of Olympian Gossip. And it's basically him destroying the scientific community, like just because they were stealing ideas from him, and it was just basically the equivalent of like his like beef between him and another scientist, you know, like a rap battle or something. But it was just, with that being said, I thought it was an interesting term of like, you know, you think of an Olympian, it's like the representation of like the peak of the pinnacle of everything, you know, and then gossip is such a just adolescent thing and such a valley and not a peak, and the opposite, you know. So this juxtaposition of Olympian Gossip kind of started to make sense as far as the representation of what the album is. It talks about all that stuff, and that word really umbrellas everything nicely.
I'm so glad I asked that question, because that answer was way better than anything I would have come up with. I mean, that's awesome.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, I'm excited to, you know, I want people to dive into it. There's a lot of taglines and references to everything, and it's, you know, I spent a lot of time trying to leave Easter eggs and put things in there that are going to kind of make the listener want to go back, you know. So hopefully that'll happen for you.
Well, yeah. So I'm nerdy. So now you're speaking my language. Love the Easter eggs. You know, throw them in there.
Oh yeah, man, definitely, they're in there.
So, you know, what's it like when you've put 3 or 4 years of work into something, and now you're on the verge of it actually being out there, you know, and kind of for everybody to listen to? You know, is that excitement? Are you nervous? You know, what's that like?
It's definitely nervous, you know, a nervous energy, because, you know, as a songwriter, you want to think your songs are good, but obviously, you know, it's like there's just human anxiety that comes along with that whole thing.
Yeah.
And but it's more of an anxiety of like, I'm really looking forward to sharing the tunes with people, you know, with our fan base especially. We've got some amazing fans, you know. They're like, I know everybody says this, but I really feel like we have the best fans, you know. So it's cool to give it to them because, you know, they stick by our sides. And, you know, we do a pre-order bundle where we have everything from just the CD to a whole package of like a tune that makes skate deck and vinyl and all this other stuff.
Nice.
And, you know, it was all stuff that, as a fan of music, if I was buying a Metallica record back in the day, that's the stuff I would want to come with it, you know. So that was the basis for that. But, you know, just to see the reaction to it and the support from our fan base and the people that are supporting the record release, because that's the stuff that gets the album out. It's like, you know, the fans coming to the merch booth, buying the show ticket, buying the album, buying all that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
It really, the fans are our label in a way.
I love that. I love that because you're right. I mean, without the fans, you know, what do you have? You have to have that interaction to kind of build that fan base. I love that.
Oh yeah, and that's the best part, man.
What when you're touring, you know, do you after the show are you working the merchandise booth? Are you out there interacting with the fans?
You know, it changes right now. It's a little weird because of you know, everything. But typically speaking, we have Christina is our merch girl, and she is awesome. She's kind of helped us for, I don't know, for a while now. And so she'll kind of take care of everything, and then we'll come out to the booth for sure after the set. We'll hang out before the set too, you know. We love to meet everybody and just kind of, you know, especially when the world gets back to normal, we can't wait for that part, you know. And it's like we're inching there, we're getting there slowly but surely, you know. It's coming, you know, and we're excited about that. But yeah, it's great to you know, meet everybody and just kind of get to hear. Really, the best part for me is we get to hear the everyone's kind of personal take on what the lyrics mean, and, you know, have really cool conversations with folks and kind of get their impressions of the songs.
Kind of, it gets you thinking a little bit, which I think is really neat. You know, I was enjoying listening to the different songs because it kind of pieces it together as you're listening to it.
Yeah, man, it's fun, dude. And it's like, it's funny whenever I hear somebody tell me their take on a song, sometimes it'll make me question the meaning of the song myself. You know, as a songwriter, I'm like, shit, I think you're right, you know? You know, it's like, I didn't think, maybe I like unconsciously did it, you know, wrote it that way, you know? And I believe that. I believe that stuff. It's happened a few times. And it's, so that it not only, you know, is putting the music out and the song out, you know, it's rewarding to give it to the fan, but it's also hearing their response of the songs really can make me understand the songs more, you know, in a weird way. It's just like you kind of really got to get under the layers of the song once you get the feedback.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. So my brother is a fan. So I was telling him, you know, we talk a little bit, and I was telling him who's coming on the show, and he knew your last album. So he was a fan. So at that point, I hadn't listened to the music yet. So I was like, well, describe it to me. You know, what kind of music is it? And he's, you know, he was struggling kind of pinning it down. He said, well, it's metal, but not exactly. You know, he said it's a little different. It goes kind of, he kept saying it goes a little beyond metal. And I'm not sure exactly what that means, but after I listened to it, I was like, I kind of get it. I kind of get that. You know, how would you describe your music?
It's been a tough one for me, man. It's so hard to explain it. You know, it's like, because it's just what comes out. It's like describing the sound of your voice to someone, you know. It's like, shit, I guess
terrible. That's how I would describe it. Terrible.
Me too, man. I'm the same way, you know. And yeah, no, but you know, I think musically it's definitely got vibes of metal. We're all fans of metal, you know. I love the heaviest bands, you know, the ugliest, nastiest metal. I love it. I'm not that kind of singer, you know. I couldn't do it if I wanted to. I mean, so that part's the challenge. So I just kind of, I think that's probably a good way to say, you know, just like it's metal at times, but it's also not, you know. I love a good melody, and I love, you know, clean singing, but not just clean singing. You know, there's there's a whole bunch between clean and just screaming that there's a lot of vocal style in there, and you know, playing around with it and, you know, just having a good time, really kind of leaving the barriers off of it. You know, we didn't want to be a metal band or a radio rock band or anything like that. It's just genuinely like, let's write music we want to listen to, kind of.
Yeah, it's just kind of, it's very unique. And I do like the fact that the majority of the time you could sing along. You know, you can actually make out what you're saying and it makes sense. Which, you know, sometimes in music, it's a little bit of guessing exactly what the lyrics are.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, man. And you know, sometimes I'll be on stage forgetting lyrics, so it's like you're mixing them up or something, you know. So when someone's singing them back to you because they heard it clearly on the record, it keeps me locked in. I can read people's lips and go, "Oh, that's the word."
Yeah. It is easier in person, that's for sure.
Oh,
because you can kind of guess it. You kind of guess it. You have toured with some pretty amazing bands, which is unbelievable. But if you were the headliner and you could have anyone open for you, who would you choose?
Ooh, I would flip it around. I would just open for a bunch of awesome bands, you know. That would be the way to go for me. But, you know, there's so many good bands right now. Buddies of ours mainly would probably want to put on the bill, you know. Post Profit, they're a good band that we're friends with. Those guys probably, yeah, you know. And then just there's so many great bands right now, you know. Nova Skyway, bunch of Texas bands for the most part, you know.
Yeah. Do you plan to tour outside of Texas? Like, are you crossing the country at all?
Yeah, we will definitely be hitting all the states up as many as possible, as many that'll have us, you know. The ones we haven't been kicked out of yet.
Have you done any festivals, or will you be doing any, you know, the music festivals where you're hanging out for a weekend, that type of thing?
We did Houston Open Air a couple years ago, which was kind of it's like a Danny Wimmer festival. We've done a few festivals here and there. We'll probably try to line up some festival work in the fall. It really just depends what lines up with whatever like larger package tour we try to get, you know, solidified and everything. But, you know, I mean, really, if we're out, we're going to be playing. So if there's something there, you know, if we're not at the festival, we'll be at the bar across the street, you know, so we'll play anywhere.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Do you play any other instrument besides guitar?
Yeah, a little bit of everything, you know. I try to fake piano, but I'm not that great at it. So, but yeah, you know, I sing guitar, bass. I can fake my way on a drum kit, kind of, you know, as well.
Do you read music, or are you playing by ear?
Mostly by ear, but I do read a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's better. I know I've talked to musicians that they play by ear, and then when they tried to learn to read music, it kind of messed them up playing by ear. You know, so they're like, they couldn't do both.
Yeah, I mean, it's a trick, you know, like it's a tricky situation. For me, it's just, I tend to overthink it if I get too like on top of it and try to make it like surgical. So I just I think the best type of stuff is when you just pick up a guitar and you just start noodling, you know, or you piano or whatever it is, and then you kind of just let it take you, you know.
When you work on a song, or when you have a song that you feel like it's ready, you know, outside of the band, who's the first person that you take that to kind of test it out
on? There's a few like close people, like, you know, our management, you know, or close friends, you know, people that really, you know, people I've been in bands with in the past that are just now friends, you know, because it's kind of, we speak the same language, or just people that are, you know, just family friends, you know, that kind of understand the passion of music and kind of can gauge, like, look at me and tell me when something sucks, you know, like, hey, you could do better than this, you know. Someone that's going to be honest. I mean, anybody that'll be honest, you know, the last thing you want in that kind of situation is a yes man, you know.
Well, that's right, because you don't want to put out a bad product, so you need somebody.
Right.
honest with you.
Because the world's going to tell you if it sucks, you know?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And they'll tell you fast. You'll figure it out pretty quick. If you put it out there.
You guys will know. In 4 days, you'll know whether this new Twin record is horrible.
No, it's so good. You will not have that problem. It is really good. Your sound's very unique. I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to the album coming out, because we have to have an actual LP or a vinyl. We gotta have that for the house to add to the collection.
Oh yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah, so we'll be getting one. So you have one.
Awesome.
There you go, one for sure sale.
That's it. That's all we need. That's a step in the right direction, man.
No, it's so terrific. So the album is Olympian Gossip. It comes out Friday. So where can people find it? Where can they find Olympian Gossip?
So if you're looking to stream it, wherever you stream music, it'll be there. Apple, Spotify, Deezer, all of it, Amazon. And if you're looking to get a physical copy, we have it on our Bandcamp. We have it on our website, toWhomItMay.net. You can go there right now and you can actually pre-order it. The vinyls will be shipping a couple months from the release date, just because of the nature of the vinyl industry right now. They're a bit delayed.
Like everything else, yep.
Yeah, but we're good for it. We promise. So get your we've got limited print vinyl. We've got CDs. We've got skate decks, T-shirts, all themed around the new record, and you can get that from our website. Yeah,
that's so terrific. So who are your bandmates? Who's in the band with you?
Dexas Villarreal. He plays drums and he sings. He does some backup stuff. And also Robb Mars, who is our bass player, and he does a few vocal things. But it's just us three, and we make as much sound as we can. Yeah,
and you guys fit together really well. I think it's well done. It's the harmonies and the way the music kind of comes together, really enjoyable.
Oh man, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So a couple things, John, before you go. This has been terrific, and thank you so much for coming on the show. Is there anything else that you're working on? This is a big one. This is the album coming out is huge, but anything else that you're working on that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
Right now the big thing for me is the new videos that we're working on. We're gonna have a new video for the record coming out here, and probably within the week.
It's exciting.
And yeah, other than that, man, it's just really just trying to online content for Twim. It's just all about the new videos, all about the new songs. We're going to have playthrough videos, all that kind of stuff. And then eventually, sooner than later, we'll be announcing some dates for the fall and stuff. And that's kind of the big focus for us, is getting back out there and really just taking the new music out to the fans we have, and hopefully to a ton more,
Yeah, no, I think it's going to do so well for you. I'm excited for you. So the website is toWhomItMay.net. Where else can we find you on social media?
So we have Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, Twitter. And I think if you go to the website, it's got all the links. Other than that, though, if you look up To Whom It May on any of the social media outlets, you'll find us. And yeah, man, we're stoked to get this new record out. It's been a long time coming. We took our time figuring out how we wanted to do it, and I think we got the process figured out. So we're stoked to get the response from the public. Stoked to be here with you, man, and thank you for taking some time out to have me on and talk about it.
Yeah, you've got to come back when you get ready for the next one. You got to come back and let's
for sure, man,
more.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I'm actually already writing the third one, so a few songs.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Do you have a name yet
for the new record?
Yeah.
Oh, not yet. No, there's ideas and stuff. I could say something silly right now, or can't make something up. But no, it'll probably be like the equivalent of me looking at something like, oh, it's Liquid Death now. That's the name of the record. No, it'll take some time, get the lyrical kind of ideas of what the record's about, where we're at mentally as people, and pull from that.
That's awesome. Well, John, best of luck to you. And yeah, we absolutely have to do this again. That's great. You'll have to bring the rest of the band next time.
Yeah, definitely, man. We can definitely have everybody. And I know they'd love to be a part of it for sure.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Okay. Hold on one second. All right. So that was John Jourdan of To Whom It May. I can't wait for you guys to hear this album. It is so good. I've been listening to it all day long. It is, it's awesome. It's one of those albums you either take to the gym and listen to it, or you're kind of rocking out in the car. I've been doing both today. It's really, really good. So I'm excited for you guys to hear it. Thank you so much for tuning in again this week. You know, we don't take you for granted. There's a lot of podcasts out there, but you keep coming back to ours, and we really, really appreciate that. If you haven't done so yet, you know, we could use the help on our YouTube channel, MeisterCon Pod. If you could subscribe, that would just help us and mean so much to us. So please do that. We've got 360 or so episodes now, and you can hear all of them, audio and video, on our website, meistercon.com. If we're doing anything in studio, if we're going on location, if we're covering a convention, it'll all be on the website, along with a really fun, geeky blog that Brett puts out. He's a talented writer, so definitely check that out, meistercon.com. So thank you guys so much, and until next time, bye, everybody.